trucks are rolling in because testing is over. Hello folks, welcome to Paddock Pass, your post-test edition for the 2019 Formula One season. What a second week we've had here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. And perhaps no surprise to know that Ferrari have ended it on top. The promise that they've shown from day one really showing itself over the last couple of days of the test. Vettel had a big crash on day two. The team blaming a foreign object getting caught between the tyre and the wheel rim on the left front that caused the wheel rim to go and spear him off at turn 3. They lost half a day's running, put the car back on track for day 3. Leclerc went to the top. Vettel beat that time today, but it's not a 1-2 for Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton absolutely bossed a lap in towards the end of today in a car which arrived here for the second week in ostensibly different fashion to that which we had in week 1. Mercedes said the week 1 car was finished in November. The week 2 car was a real development, performance development that they'd spent every last minute. I'm going to get run over, are we? Possibly. Developing to get here, using all the time as best they could, and that's going to be their race spec car. Some people in the paddock think they're going down 2 different design routes. Anyway, we'll talk about all of that in a minute. What running order should we use today, Sam? Should we do championship order from last year? Should we do expected order? Should we just do the order we get to them in the pit lane? You're not going to nod, are you? No. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's start with the big trucks. Let's start with Mercedes. As we said, a team that started off the week with a brand new car, lots to put through its paces. In week 1, didn't really show too much pace in the opening days of the test, just doing that Mercedes thing, plodding through the laps, not really showing their hand. Did they show their hand at the end of the test today? Or are they still a little bit off the pace? It seems they believe themselves to be in or around half a second deficit to Ferrari. Or is that just smoke and mirrors? You're going to hear from every driver today, starting with the world champion Lewis Hamilton and his teammate Valtteri Bottas.
This is going to be the toughest battle yet. So, which is exciting for all of you and excited for all the fans. But as I said, we're not. The Ferrari, their pace is very, very good at the moment. So the challenge is going to be harder than ever.
Charles Leclerc was asked yesterday if he had to bet on it, what team would he bet on to win the title? He said Ferrari. If you had to bet on it, would you back your team?
Well, I don't really gamble, so and I bet on myself always if I did.
From a driver's perspective, was it the right way to go to have this baseline first week and then the week with the car a bit more like it would run in Melbourne, or would you have rather had that from the beginning?
Well, I think yes, it was right because it's it was the approach from the team, and the team has calculated that is the best plan to go forward. So we had maximum available time for the upgrade package to be worked on and to improve it. So yeah, it's. Of course, in the first test, it would be nice to have the best car of everyone, but what matters is to have the best car in the races and the amount we can learn from the test.
So, an awful lot learned for Mercedes over the 8 days and 64 hours of pre-season testing. Have they learnt enough? Have they done enough to still be viewed with that target on their backs when we get to Australia in a week and a bit's time? I don't know. I don't think they do. We're going to do pit lane order. So next is Red Bull Racing, the team that many here are expecting could pose the most serious threat to what we believe to be a Ferrari in the ascendancy. A new engine partner this year, of course, in Honda. And if we understand it properly, I don't think they've had an engine-related issue all test, neither here nor at their sister team Toro Rosso. But that doesn't mean it's gone perfectly for Red Bull Racing this week, or indeed the first week. Gearbox issues, a number of them throughout this second week of testing. Also, Pierre Gasly, week 1, a crash up in the final corners. Penultimate day of the test. He binned it at turn 9, got the rear left over onto the grass as he was coming in, lost it, very similar to Brendan Hartley last year, ended up in the barriers. Massive crash, so big in fact that they had to revert to using a lot of older spec pieces on the car. So Verstappen's day, on the final day, not really representative of where they wanted to be. Is that Gasly pushing a little bit too much, too far beyond, too soon? Who knows, there's big expectation on him. Anyway, I think the positive to take out of this test, for Red Bull at least, is that the Honda power unit appears to be hitting the numbers that they've been promised, appears to be reliable, appears to be pretty quick as well. Here's Max and here's Pierre on a week I should say, of ups and downs as they prepare for the 2019 season.
29 laps on the board probably wasn't the ideal way to end the test. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, basically I got tired, so I was like, okay, we call it a day. No, not really. No. Yeah, we had a gearbox issue. I mean, I think anyway the guys already did an amazing job to turn the car around after yesterday and get out there. But yeah, unfortunately, you know, we were a bit limited with the parts we had. So yeah, that's why we couldn't get out.
But at the start of the test, the first 6 days for you guys were really strong. Does that give you confidence going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if we look to the longer runs and stuff, it looks all pretty promising. So yeah, I'm looking forward to start racing now. I think we have a pretty good package, and also the engine seems to work really well. So I'm very happy about that.
I know it's always difficult to say where you stand in the pecking order, but what have you made of Mercedes and Ferrari, and where do you think Red Bull are?
Well, of course, they are always going to be quick. So I don't know where we will be exactly, but looking at the long run pace, I think I'm optimistic.
We managed to get a lot of laps around in the 4 days of testing. We tested a lot of things, looking a bit more on performance today, and no, I think we learned a lot. So I know we need to go through all the data. Got a lot of work to do before Melbourne, but overall we're pretty pleased, and a lot of aero tests, a lot of tests for the team, but which is good also for me to put the laps in and try to get comfortable with that car. So lap after lap I can feel feeling better, but yeah, still some work to do. Yeah. And I think we will see more performance coming. At the moment, as I say, we try to put the mileage on the car and try to learn more about our package. But yeah, so far we're pretty happy.
So some small frustrations at Red Bull Racing, but Christian Horner still, I'm not going to say giddy, but certainly, I think, enthused by the beginning of the relationship with Honda. Toro Rosso are going into their second year with Honda, and they've also had a very good pre-season. The team, of course, benefiting from a rear end supplied by their big sisters. And Danny Kvyat and Alex Albon getting on with the program. Albon in particular, given that he is a total rookie and is still learning his way through the sport, I found to be particularly impressive over both weeks of the test. Can these guys spring a surprise this year? Again, there's a lot of people in this paddock who think they could be punching towards that upper echelon of the midfield battle when we get to Australia, although Australia's never really all that representative, is it? They think they could spring a surprise at some point. Confidence is high down here that with a reliable and quick car, they could be in there swinging. Alex Albon, Danny Kvyat, Toro Rosso guys, I think pretty much looking forward to getting to Australia.
Yeah, I was already quite comfortable last week. Also, testing is made for trying as many things as possible. Obviously, when you try some bigger items, you shouldn't always feel great in the car because you need to understand them. And that's what testing is for, to try the things that sometimes you don't want to try on the race weekend. No? So all in all, it was, like I said, this kind of day, and we scanned a lot of useful items, and it was a decent day.
It's probably better than I expected. Of course, it's still very early days, and we won't know till Melbourne how it's been going really. But no, yeah, been happy with how the day's been. Yeah.
It's been a lot of laps set by you today on the board. Obviously very happy with the reliability.
Yeah, I think that's been a testament to Honda and Toro Rosso. I think, coming into the 4 days, that was always not a worry, but you obviously want to get the mileage, and we have done that. So it's been, a lot of learning, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't do enough laps. yeah, of course that midfield pack is where we're aiming for at the front end of it. But until we, as you said, until we get to Melbourne, we won't really know.
Alex Alban, a driver I would definitely keep an eye on this year. A lot of potential exists in him. How much potential exists here at Renault? Should we have a peek in, or are we going to get told off? That's all right, there's no car in there, we won't get too told off. Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg, the lineup down here. And again, a team that I don't think, similar to Mercedes, really showed their the full extent of their hand, particularly in week 2 of testing. Again, plodding through the laps, plodding through the numbers, getting their program done, but never really showing that overall flash of pace that I think many expected them to. Cyril Abiteboul today saying that over the winter the power unit has gained them somewhere between 20 and 50 horsepower, but it's not just about power, it's about drivability, obviously it's about packaging, all these things that will help them throughout the season. Are they where they want to be though? Have they made the gains not just in the rear and with the power unit, but also in terms of the design of their car to give Daniel and Nico a shot, not just at the upper part of the midfield, but maybe at competing with the top 3?
I think we're still in that phase, so to speak. I think we found some things in week 1, we found some things in week 2. It's probably now just trying to dissect all that and figure out what to take to then move forward. So I wouldn't say there's been like a night and day difference from last week to this week, but we have also been trying different parts on the car. So I think we are making progress, but that, let's say, the biggest steps are going to come, in the next few months, call it. I want to be realistic, and I don't want to tell people, yeah, we're going to be on the podium when I don't think we're going to be, for example. So I still don't know where exactly we are, but yes, we're not the fastest car at the moment. We do have some work to do. I don't think we're in a bad place, but we're not. We want to be better, and we're still, I guess, working towards that. So I don't know. It's not really conservative. I think it's just realistic for now.
Yeah, I feel good. The car is mainly the same as we finished last week. No big differences. Had a solid morning. We pretty much completed the program and everything that we planned. So I think reliability has been okay and has not been awesome and fantastic. We had a few little hiccups here and there, but I think the team reacted well to them and took care of it pretty quickly. So for now, I think we're in okay shape there.
Now, as we said at the start, Ferrari looking really very good, and there is the SF90 under the wraps. Now, the SF90 didn't actually make it to the end of testing. We were down here in the pit lane, actually. Vettel came in and did practice pit stop, left, and only made it as far as, I think, turn 2-3 before an electrical fault hit the car, this very car, and saw him break down at the side of the track. The team decided it was going to take them too long to go in, investigate what was wrong with the car, so they just packed it up and started packing up the garage a good 90 minutes, 2 hours before the end of the last test day, because they'd pretty much learned everything they needed to. That's a bit of confidence, I think, personally. The times look great. The car, until the last couple of days, looked pretty much bulletproof. Certainly the power unit looked a little bit bulletproof. Some question marks over the structural integrity of the rims, whether it was a foreign object that caused that failure for Vettel, or whether because of the change in regulation about what can be done with brake ducts, with the venting on the axles, and particularly sort of the airflow that the teams are trying to get around the rims to try and get some of the outwash back that they've lost from the front wing in terms of disrupting the airflow for the cars behind. How much is being done there? That's going to be a real point of interest in the early races of the season. And certainly, given that they had a failure on that, something to look at. But other than those little niggles, I don't think there's anybody in this pit lane that would deny these guys enter 2019 and enter the Australian Grand Prix as the clear favourites. And the team saying today there are no team orders. Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc are free to fight.
I think overall the car is still strong. It feels good. I think we've been exploring obviously a lot of things since day one, and I think last week has been very productive. So overall, yeah, I'm still positive about the car and the feeling inside the car.
Well, I think it hasn't changed since day one, to be honest. The car feels comfortable. From day one, the balance is pretty nice, and it hasn't changed today. So it's a positive day. Yeah, especially after the lack of running yesterday. It's a good morning for us, and it's good to be on top. But it doesn't mean anything.
Confidence high then at Maranello that this could be their best shot at a title in some time, and I don't think I disagree. Right, from the red into the pink. Sporty Peas Racing, our favourite team name, Sport Pezza Racing, of course, the rebranded Force India. Now, speaking to Andy Green earlier in the week, he told us that the car that they've brought to testing, essentially, and the car for this year, they had to decide what they were doing with it when the team was going through the hardships of last year and had been put into, or was about to be put into administration. What on earth do we do? We've got no resources for next year. We don't even know if the team's going to exist next year. So they decided to stick with what was essentially their 2018 car, the 2018 Tub, adapt it for the 2019 regulations, get that homologated, and then start to bring upgrades for it, if indeed they ever made it into 2019. Of course, they did make it into 2019. The new investors led by Lawrence Stroll coming in. Investment, money. How do you stop, though, when you get given the keys to the sweet shop, running in and gorging on sweets and throwing up all over the place? Well, they've maintained that same process, structure, that saw them for so many years with minimal budget finish fourth in the constructors. They've kept that. They could have just thrown everything in the bin and started afresh. They haven't. They've stuck to their guns. They've stuck to their plan. This is then essentially still the 2018 car, modified heavily for 2019. But the car that's been here for the last 2 weeks will not be the car that they have in Melbourne. A massive set of upgrades and developments will be shown and seen on the car there and then. So how much have they learned here that is usable in Australia? Obviously, pretty much just a baseline for them. But this is a team that is still half a step behind because of the financial issues that dogged them as Force India. Now is Racing Point. Again, as Andy Green said, they're already focusing on their 2020 car. They've already got that in their minds. They're already designing it. They're already on it. So, a view to the future. Is this year then treading water? Not so, but it will be tough. It will be hard, and the drivers certainly aware of that.
What has the progression been from Test 1 to this week in Test 2?
A lot, we're learning every day, not just when I'm driving, also when Lance is driving, we are understanding the car. So I think we are heading definitely in the right direction.
And one day left for you?
Yeah, one more. Looking forward to it. It's been really short, this winter testing for me, very limited with mileage. So I hope on my final day I can have a trouble-free day and aim for a strong start in Melbourne, because I think we have everything in place.
Yeah, it was a very positive end to my test, my 2 weeks of testing. We got a lot of laps in again today, and kilometers is key at this time of year. Just soaking up knowledge and getting to grips with the car. So I was really happy about that, and we'll see where we stand in Melbourne.
Have you been able to turn the motor up as far as it'll go yet?
We'll see in Melbourne where we are. So I can say, you don't really know where anyone is, or how much everyone's pushing. It's still early days.
One last thing, if you could have one thing going into the first race this season to make the car better, what would it be? What's the one thing you're lacking right now that you need?
More grip and more power.
So that is Racing Point, or Sport Pezza Racing. Now to a team that's had an interesting test, week 2, as well as week 1, really. Haas F1 team. Is this the year that the high expectations of last year, or created by last year, have to be measured with the reality of what will be a very tightly congested midfield? Possibly a bit early to tell. The cars looked good. Not ultra reliable. And I think there's a little bit of mystery down here at the moment as to exactly where the team is going to find itself when it arrives in Melbourne. We left here this time last year asking if they would be the 4th fastest team in Formula One. And they were. We leave Barcelona now not really sure of where Haas find themselves. Time will tell whether they've maintained that position in the midfield or whether this is going to be one of the most telling years, certainly for them as a still young team in terms of matching expectations or catching back to the position that they held in 2018.
We've done some great progress. The car is now showing us the limits and where we can work, but generally the baseline is very good, and we're happy with the baseline and the car performance. We haven't been focusing too much on lap time at the moment, so Melbourne will come and eventually then we're going to put everything together for qualifying. But right now we're learning the VF19, discovering a bit more, and it's getting better and better day after day.
Testing was obviously pretty good for you guys last year. You showed good performance. How does this year compare? And I know it's difficult to talk about pecking order, but how are you kind of feeling ahead of Australia?
The feeling is good, as it was last year. Maybe even better in the car, which is great. So actually, very, very much looking forward to the first race of the season.
Perfect.
We haven't really done much developing as such this week. It's been more just getting to know the car, fixing the little issues that we've had, and then play a little bit with the setup and try and find the window where the car is working. Race at least we've done, and I feel very happy, and I think the car is handling really well. I like how it feels, and it seems to be fast as well. We still don't quite know where we are, but I think it's some positive signs what we've seen so far.
And so from the youngest team in Formula One to one of the oldest, one of the most storied and successful teams in Formula One history, Williams. Of course, we know week 1 did not go to plan for them in testing, missing 2.5 days, and really that third day was just a shakedown for them. The last day, again, not really a lot that they learned. They did so much aero work with the rakes and just really putting the car through its paces until they could give it a proper run out this week. A lot of laps on the board for Williams, but is there a lot of confidence? No, because the parts simply weren't available, that when they discovered an issue with the car, they didn't have the ability to then fix it and move on. There is a huge frustration down here from both drivers and team management, I think, as to the situation they find themselves in. Australia is not going to be easy. I'd wager the first few races of the year are not going to be easy. Probably until we come back here for the start of the European season, Williams will be not just on the back foot, but struggling to show the full extent of what they can achieve. There are some green shoots. There are some little flashes of light through the clouds. But it's the clouds that are the most visible signs at the moment for this once great team. George Russell will be making his debut. Robert Kubica making his comeback. But for neither one of them will it be the hopeful and probably glorious day in Australia in a few weeks, which they'd hoped.
The car state was far from optimal. I think this is a normal consequence of last week. So unfortunately, the biggest price is paying myself and the team as well. But going to the first race after 8 years without doing a proper job on testing will be difficult, but that's the reality, that's the situation. I cannot do nothing else than prepare as much as I can.
Is this what you wanted from your comeback? A man of your caliber, a man of your competitive nature?
No, but that's the situation. I cannot change it, so I have to make sure we are doing everything what we can from my side. But as I said, it's coming back after 8 years. Probably I did test 20%, or I know 20% of the things which I should know before going to Australia. The rest is unknown. I haven't done longer than 15 laps long run. So there is a lot of question of marks. So but that's a reality. We cannot change it. As I said, I think here on track we did really maximum from what we had. But yeah, this is the reality. So, as I said, there are some positive things. Actually, my last real run where I think I felt the car well was before yesterday afternoon, first run, where the car did things which I was surprised. I was really nice surprise. So I get up really a lot of confidence, but since there my confidence disappeared because the car was not in the right shape.
Yeah, definitely very happy with the number of laps we've done, but obviously at the end of the day it's all about the lap times, and probably still got a bit to find. We'd be lying if we said we were up there, let's say, but we got work to do, and like I said, we were a big step behind everybody else, so it's only normal.
And so from a team worried about languishing at the back, a team now which was languishing at the back just 2 short seasons ago, and now has the whole pit lane talking about them. Alfa Romeo, or Sauber as was. Kimi Räikkönen, Antonio Giovinazzi, and a car that looks great on track. A power unit, obviously the Ferrari, that's looked great as well. Little niggles throughout the second week of testing, but overall another really positive week for these guys. And they enter Australia as the team many here are expecting to spring perhaps the greatest surprise. Will it be as good as everyone thinks it maybe could be? Again, it's going to be one of those great questions of the season which we will have answered so soon. But Kimi Räikkönen looks enthused and confident. Antonio Giovinazzi is looking forward to making what he terms to be his real Formula One debut. And there's just a great feeling down here that the Italo-Swiss team is back on the up.
Obviously, we'll see what do we face there. I mean, it's very unclear for us where we are, and I think it's the same for everybody. But conditions will be completely different. So we'll see. For sure, I don't think we ever gonna feel prepared exactly after the winter. But yeah, we'll have things to figure out, and we'll see what we get.
I'm looking forward for Melbourne. Finally, I will have my first Grand Prix like official driver. Yeah, it was not an easy day today, but we try the softer compound. But I need still working of this. I didn't have the possibility to use this in last week, so it was first time for me. But yeah, we are happy. We're actually really happy for the race simulation.
Can Alfa Romeo spring a surprise?
Hopefully, this is the target, but it's too early now to know. We don't know what the other competitors is doing today and tomorrow, so we will just know on qualifying. So I hope.
So, from a team with high hopes to a team with high expectations, it is of course McLaren and Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, new team lineup. They're going to get a new team manager in Andreas Seidl. They're going to have a new designer in James Key from Toro Rosso. Again, it's been an interesting week, and I think almost like the Toro Rossos or the Hasses, this is a team that has looked good during testing. Not perfect, not bulletproof, but good. Demonstrably better than in years gone by. But where do they find themselves? And it's that real question we're not going to have answered until probably Bahrain, China, beyond, coming back here to Barcelona, where we have a true appreciation of where everyone finds themselves. But there's positivity. For the first time in a long time down here at McLaren, that they're not entering a season struggling. They're entering a season with a lot to be hopeful for. It's been a good 8 days. But is it as good as they dare to dream? Time will tell.
They're looking good, yeah. It's always nice to be first, but we're not going to be in pole in Australia, if that is the question. So we're not going to win in Australia at all. So everyone calm down a bit, because this is just testing, and we were doing some bit more qualifying based runs, where you can see a bit more the performance of the car. So I guess we still need to wait to see the others what they can do on those runs. I think we've learned a lot. I think every time I've been on the car has been performing a bit better, and I've been a bit more comfortable. The car has been faster every time I've been on the car, and that is helping to move forward.
Testing's done.
Yeah, no.
Are you ready for Melbourne?
I think so. I mean, it's hard to say. I think every time we've gone out, we've done better times, we've done better race stints, we've done everything better. But it always changes when you get to the race weekend itself. Yeah, I'm happy with at least where I've ended up. Compared to where I started, there was a lot of things to work on, and those things I managed to work on since last week, and I'm much happier with. So I'm not fully prepared. There's still things I've got to do over the next 2 weeks, which I'll be testing on the sim to prepare for, but in the general consensus, I'm prepared.
So that is your lot from Paddock Pass here in Barcelona. The 8 days of pre-season have gone by in a flash, and if that's true for us, imagine what it's like for the teams who have broken their backs to do really an incredible number of laps. The reliability that we've seen, the length and breadth of this pit lane has, I think, been one of, if not the biggest surprise of this pre-season. Expectations are that we could have a new target team when we get to Australia, and that team is Ferrari. That Red Bull may have got the jump on Mercedes, but that Mercedes might not really have shown us their full hand. Smoke and mirrors, of course, is always the order of the day in testing, and one wonders, what have Mercedes been hiding? Have Mercedes been hiding? That's the fascinating question. The midfield as well could be tighter, more congested, and closer to the front than we've seen. And Williams, although we expect them to be at the back, as Robert Kubica said, look, when I got the car in that little envelope, there was something there. It's going to be a great year. I can't wait. We go to Melbourne in a matter of days, and genuinely there is palpable excitement that I've not felt for a good few years, actually, over how excellent this season could be. Join us, please, this year for what promises to be an outstanding 2019 season in Formula One. But for now, from all of us here in Barcelona, we'll see you in Melbourne, and that's your lot.